Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Performing Coaches. This is your podcast, Coaches Making Impact, and I am Aneri Bellamy, your connection and communication coach, and most importantly, your impact leader. We're here once again with another great person that's making impact in the world, not only the lives of coaches, but on the lives of everyone. We've got a chance to talk before the interview. So, although his name is Peter Ruppert, he says I get to call him Pete. Isn't that great? That tells me some little something about him already. We've been chatting before the interview, but it feels like we've known each other for a very long time. So I really appreciate and love that kind of synergy on the show, as you all know. So Pete, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us out of your busy schedule on today. How are you?
I'm great, Aneri. So nice to be with you, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us. And I'm already convinced that whatever you have to say within this interview is going to be very impactful for someone. So I really, really appreciate it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our first question, and that is, who are you purposed to serve?
Well, that's interesting because I'm not sure how I would have answered that a while ago, 20, 25 years ago. But certainly as I've grown and aged and had more experience, I think it's become clear to me that, my purpose is to serve younger people. And as you know, Aneri, I'm in the education arena and run an organization called Fusion Education Group, and we operate almost 80 schools across the country, and that are ages 6th through 12th grade. And so as I think about who am I purposed to serve, it's certainly that age group, but I also think it's also younger people in general, younger adults, anyone who is looking for guidance or trying to find their way or trying to figure out how they achieve their dreams. And if there's any way I can serve them, then I'm all in. And I've really spent the last 20 or 25 years of my journey in education and supporting the growth and development of younger people.
I absolutely love it. Like it was like I was sharing with Pete earlier about my daughter. So, what he does is near and dear to my heart because she was one of those that needed that one-on-one instruction to really get it. She was one of those that could have been lost in between the cracks of an IEP, which actually demands the one-on-one, and the teacher just not being able to give it. So programs like what you do, Pete, is so important for those students to make sure they don't fall through the cracks. I know No Child Left Behind had an intention of trying to do that, right? Trying to make sure that the students weren't left behind, but the manpower just wasn't there. So what you're doing in the schools that you have definitely helps fill in that gap. And I know that all of the students and the teachers and everything that are under you, if they operate in your synergy and have your spirit, I know that it's a beautiful experience for everyone. So I really appreciate you being one to take that on with such a big purpose, right? And such a big calling on your life and what you do. What is it about your life story that made that your purpose?
Well, I think, I guess probably the biggest part of my life story is um, I've had a lot of people who have helped me along the way, right? And especially when I was struggling or when I was young or when I had career challenges or problems. And that's really a lot of how I was able to kind of become who I am today, and kind of created me as a whole person. And so I think part of that is the help I had, and the other part of it was my own journey where I've had some challenges and some setbacks and some failures along the way, as not just as an adolescent, but also out of college in my career. And I had a couple of business failures. I had a disastrous experience in another job that I ended up quitting suddenly. So I've been unemployed for an extended amount of time, at least twice. And, it's, as I look back, it was the support of others, and it was the experience I had to help pull myself up and not just give up, but instead plow forward and always keep striving to achieve my potential and grow and develop as a person, as a leader, as a parent, as a spouse, etc.
I absolutely love it. I knew that was going to be an awesome answer. I said, with a man with a purpose this big, I know that life story has got to have an awesome answer to it. So I can't wait to hear the answer to this next question, which is our golden question. And that is, if the person you were purposed to serve crossed your path and it was your one and only opportunity to make an impact on their lives, what would you say to them?
Well, I think what I would say to anyone, especially this person that I was purposed to serve, is the importance of really dreaming and dreaming big about their future and believing in themselves. And it's a lot of what this book I recently published that we talked a little bit beforehand. And I'd probably give them a copy of my book. And the book is called Limitless, 9 Steps to Launch Your One Extraordinary Life. And as we discussed earlier, it's really a summary of all the things I learned from studying other successful people when I had some of my challenges early in my career and early in my adult life. And when I studied successful people, I realized how similar the traits were in so many of these different folks from all walks of life. And as I analyzed that, I started to see these common themes and these common steps that they would have approached. And so I captured that initially for myself and created this list of 9 steps that I put on one piece of paper, and I used it as a guide and an inspiration for me, kept it in my briefcase for years. And then when my oldest son entered middle school about 12 years or so ago, I retyped it up, and at that time I called it the Traits of a Champion, and put it on their bathroom mirror, laminated it and put it on their bathroom mirror, and thought that they probably didn't want to listen to their old man talk about these things, but they might read them every night when they brush their teeth or wash their faces before going to bed. And then I shared it with some of our leadership folks at a conference that we had a few years ago, and that's when people told me, "Oh my gosh, I love that list. I love those steps. You should write a book." And so that book is the book that we just published a few months ago, is the culmination of that journey to bring back and be able to give back and serve younger people like I talked about earlier. And should I cross that person with your golden question, I would certainly encourage them that the idea of never giving up on your dreams, not just settling or forgetting about the potential that you have, and stop believing in yourself is the last thing I'd want someone to do, and instead to reverse that and chase their dreams and realize there's a huge opportunity in front of every person if they go about it the right way. And then I'd hand them my book and let them do that.
Now, I would have to ask you this. I love the name, by the way. The name speaks for itself. Like, if I just crossed the path of that book and never picked it up, just the name itself, if I was struggling with something like that, would trigger me, to think, maybe I am enough. Maybe, maybe I can do more. So name is perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love it.
Thank
I'll
you.
definitely be getting me a copy of the book. Now, I would have to ask, do you think that a lot of that being limitless has to come from the inside? Like it's the person's determination, internal determination,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
external? Okay.
No, I think the first step in the first chapter in the book is called "Win the Battle in Your Head," and I talk about how in all of our minds, and this is something I learned about every person. For a while there, I thought I was the only one who had this dichotomy going on, but we all have this positive voice and this negative voice that compete with our mind every single day. And what I found from other successful people and have learned in my own life is that when we find a way to make sure that the positive voice wins a lot more often than the negative voice, then we have the foundation to be able to go out and do great things. But if we don't win that battle in our head, if we too often let the negative voice hold us back and tell us that we're not good enough or we're a failure or what other people have said about us is right, we limit all of our upside. We refuse to take risk, and we just kind of settle into a life of day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, where all of a sudden we wake up when we're older and we say, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And that would be the one message I would send, is by focusing on our own mindset, that internal conversation we have with ourselves. It all starts there. And once we realize that that's the most important part of anything we do, the next 8 steps become a lot easier.
And the reason why I asked that question is because, there was a time in my life where I questioned being enough. I was telling my family about the possibility of doing great things and the visions I had in mind. But of course, through life experiences and learning and things like that, they were like, starting to believe it wasn't quite possible. You know what I mean? So then when all the people around you stop believing in what you've believed in, right? They're like, okay, it's not happening. I can't see any of this actually unfolding, right? Then I think it's in that moment that you have to be limitless, right? In your thinking and in your process to say, yeah, I'm going to prove everybody wrong, you know, and no matter what it takes, I'm going to make this happen.
Well, and that's exactly right. But that is really hard to do by yourself. And I think that would be another message I would send to people. In one of the future steps is to find a champion. I call it a champion, someone who really believes in you, who wants to help you along, a mentor, if you will.
Right.
Um, it's just really hard to go do great things by yourself. And so when you reach out and you reach up, oftentimes to people who maybe have gone before you, who might be years older, and say, and you take the steps to say, hey, would you be willing to sit down with me and get to know me and help guide me? It's amazing how successful people will almost always give back. And even if they don't have the time or whatever, they'll certainly help connect you with others. And whether that's someone who's older than you or someone who's just a couple years older, but is a little bit ahead of you and has the same mindset about their future, that they want to do great things, or a peer group of folks that similar, it's really important to surround yourself with those kind of people. And oftentimes it's our own family or our own friend group that we've had for years that'll tend to talk us out of going after our dreams and living a limitless life. Because if we're chasing that, we make them look bad. They feel badly because you're willing to change and try new things and reach for the stars, and that makes them uncomfortable. So sometimes we have to break out of our friend groups and break out of our peer groups and even break away from some of our family, not in terms of literally, but just from the control of our family's thoughts about what our own future should be. And, there's a great statistic that I've read a number of times. It says we're the average of the 10 people we spend the most time with.
Yes, that is
And,
true.
think about the people you're spending your time with. And if they're not the people that are going to lift you up, if they don't have those same kind of dreams and same kind of commitment to excellence that you might have, that's when it's time to find more champions in your life, whether they're other colleagues that have similar dreams and goals, or someone who, like I said, has been there before and is willing to help bring you along with them.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Now, first of all, I'm asking for myself first, and then so the audience that listens to this can also know, where do we get a copy of the book?
So the book is the easiest way might just be to go to my website, which is www.peteruppert.com, PETERUPPERT.com. There you can find more information on the book. You can find additional resources to help you move through the book and capture your thoughts and ideas and your plans for your future. And there's also a link right there to go buy the book. Separately, you always go to Amazon or to barnesandnobles.com. But at Amazon or Barnes and Noble, you can just go there, and then on their site, just search Limitless, Peter Ruppert or Pete Ruppert, and then the book will pop up, and you can just purchase it directly from there, and Amazon will get it to you in a matter of a couple days.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Pete, for your time and the beautiful inspiration that you shared with us today. I knew it would be good. From the pre-conversation, I knew it would impact the lives of somebody. You have such a beautiful spirit, and I appreciate you sharing it with us today on Coaches Making Impact. Is there anything else you would like to share before we sign
No,
off?
I guess the last thing that I always tell people, that the most important thing is taking that first step. And so whether it's writing down your goals, which is so important to anyone's success, physically writing them down, or if they're interested, then making the step to order my book, or to find a mentor or a champion, or realize they're going to win their battle in the head. The important thing is to take that first step. And I thank you for having me, and congratulate you on all the success and the impact you're having.
Thank you so much. And we'll continue this conversation because, there's summits and things coming up. So I'll definitely be reaching out to you again, because that's what it's all about. Coaches making impact, right? And those making impacts on the lives of others. So thank you so much. And I really appreciate you being on the show today. Until next time.
Thank you as well. Thanks, Anari.